bang, 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 bang! How's it going, Mets fans? 7-3 is your final series dub. The Big Bad Braves, no problem for this amazing club in Atlanta, no less. Getting this series, big discussion, big hype in the chat. Let's get those W's right now here in the live show, folks. What a big game! What a big series for the Mets in this rubber match. After losing 4-1 yesterday, they come out guns ablaze and they beat the Braves with their own game. They win with the home run ball. Who would have thought? That's the Mets. They get a massive, absolutely huge series victory. 2.5 back up here in the at least around 90 games into the season. We take that to the bank right now, baby. Let's get those dubs. You love to see it. Man, oh man, I am absolutely pumped up. We are going to be feeling electric today. I know we are. My day made, my series made, my blood pressure made. Who cares? We're feeling electric. Let's get those dubs in the chat right now. What a big win for this Mets team. Chris Bassett, how you doing? With 6 strong, we see there. We'll be discussing in a minute. Francisco effing Lindor. I said it yesterday. I will say it again, folks. For all the Lindorks out there that my guys that we gotta Bleav famously say, it doesn't matter. This man's hitting 250 average at just under 800 OPS. If he's on pace for 30 bombs, 100 RBIs, and is stepping up in the biggest series of the season for the Mets, that is what is going to matter most. Lindor stepped up last year in big spots in the Subway Series and in other key matchups against the Braves. We see more of this. That's all I want. Alonso really struggled in this series outside game 1. However, Lindor did not. The Mets, no Marte, no McNeil, no effing problem. How we feeling, Mets fans? Big dub. You love to see that. I'm feeling effing electric right now. I'm about to lose my mind. I need water. Bear with me. Guys, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button if you're just chiming in, as we will be deep diving and initially reacting, as you can see by now, to this big 7-3 overall series W, taking 2-3 in Atlanta. Keep chopping on back home, you damn schmucks in the Braves. We take this to the bank. Smash those buttons. Let's get W's in the chat. Let's get to 100 likes for the first short-term goal, guys. Greatly appreciated. I'm pumped. I know you're pumped. We feeling good. Let me get some H2O in this bad boy, then we'll go forward. Woo! Okay, hold on, guys. I did see there was a donation earlier in the show from my man Dave. Dave, thank you so much for that. Let me see if I can get to it quick. Then I will get some more donations later in the show. Dave with the $5 donation. Bassett and Lindor, we win LFGM 100%. Thank you so much for the dono, Dave. Hype in the chat to you guys. Shout out my viewers to my 300 plus right now here in the live show, guys. An electric win for this Mets team, and we got to break it down. We got the notes, and guys, the best part of it all, you saw what happened, and I told you guys, if you guys know, if you have been following what has been going on with the Mets, folks, if you saw, Jose, thank you so much for the $1 donation. I appreciate you. If you saw from last night's postgame show, folks, after the 4-1 loss, I told you guys the Mets and Braves have totaled roughly 50 strikeouts in the first 2 games in this series. I fully expected higher offense. The Mets jumped on Charlie Morton back that we saw in New York earlier this year in the first month of the season. I expected them to do it again today, and that is exactly what we saw the Amazings do. They jump on Morton. They score a total of 5 earned runs in 5 innings on only 6 hits. Thanks to the home run ball, home run power. The Braves had a couple bombs again today. The Braves are so boomer bust. They are so sweet and miss. I honestly can't see much of a difference right now with their offense versus themselves and the Phillies. They're eerily similar, and that is how it benefits a team like the Mets. The Mets showed up with a home run ball today, but they aren't reliant on the home run ball to get their runs, and that is exactly what we have seen with this Braves team time and time again. They got humbled. We'll see how they match up. The Mets have a 5-game set against this club again, which I Bleav is at home. If I'm wrong, let me know in the chat, though. 3 weeks from now. Yes, you heard that right. 5-game set. It's going to be absolutely nuts. But this was huge for the Mets. They get the home run ball when needed, but they weren't relying on it whatsoever. My goodness gracious. Hype in the chat, guys. You'll love to see it. I do see another donation from Dave. Thank you so much. Trocheck and Halak to Rangers. We lose Cop and Trano. Thank you so much for the dono, Dave. I'll be addressing this forward in a couple more days on my Rangers Review YouTube channel. But initial thoughts, love any Trocheck for the New York Rangers. Love Halak. I call that as a backup. And losing Cobb definitely sucks, but the Rangers are clearly prioritizing someone like Vatrano over Strome and Cobb. And Cobb went back home because he's a Michigan kid. And again, Vatrano, Rangers weren't going to bring him back with his AAV of around 6.5, 3.65 mil. So it made sense. But getting back to Mets talk, guys, how we doing? My goodness gracious. Let's talk about the Mets game. Enough of me ranting. Let's deep dive this one, guys. Let's get into it. Okay, the Mets. What did they do today? What was so pivotal outside the home run ball? They were still putting the balls in play. The Mets did not score all of their RBIs today, Bleav it or not, from the home run ball. What have the Braves done literally this entire series, as I emphasized a second ago? Every single one of their runs in this series was thanks to the home run ball. When we look at the Braves today, they swung and missed so much. They missed on so many haters. That's another thing. Seabass came out. He absolutely shoved. But Bassett early on, I didn't love Bassett's stuff. Bassett was throwing a lot of haters with his off-speed pitch right down the dick part, my French, that you saw there. But the Braves couldn't hit a lick off of him other than Olsen taking him dead center. Olsen hit bombs in back-to-back games dead center. Didn't face the Mets nor Bassett in this one. But you look at the Braves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Another day where the Braves strike out 13 times, back-to-back games where they've done exactly that. The Braves have struck out at least 10 times in each of these 3 games versus the Mets here. The Mets struck out 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the Mets did strike out a little bit, but was heavily. Alonso struck out 3 times, and Canna struck out 3 times. So the bulk. When you look at the Braves, it was throughout their entire lineup. And just hilarious to me because, again, home run ball, it's important. We know that. That was the X factor. The Mets don't win today without the home run ball. But at the same point, for a Braves team that, again, leads the NL in home runs, right? And also leads the NL in strikeouts. When you make contact, you get the boom. But when you don't make contact, you are, in fact, going to be swinging, missing, being a bust. We saw that with the Phillies time and time again this year. There aren't much differences right now offense-wise between themselves and the Braves. Braves, however, are just deeper. When healthy, when Albies is back, he's going to be more of a contact guy for them. But until then, I love the Mets' approach here. This was huge. They need to score runs after not scoring enough there that we saw yesterday. And check content. Please just stop spamming in the chat, my guy. That's all I ask. But overall, this Mets team, they got the runs when needed. They stepped up to the plate. And Chris Bassett definitely had a massive bounce-back outing for him. Again, I didn't even think Bassett had his best stuff today, but he shoved. He got some pitches past these hitters that maybe he shouldn't have, that they should have barreled, but they didn't. And Bassett went 6 strong, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and just under 100 pitches. His season year raise now down to 3.79. But deep diving this game, folks, it started there in the first inning, right? And as I said time and time again, guys, when the Mets score a run in the first 2 to 3 innings, you can guarantee that more often than not that this Mets team is going to win the ball game. When they score early, they tend to score often, and they tend to lead to a victory when that transpires. However, in the first, you see that Ronald Acuna Jr. gets a base knock for the first hit of the day that we saw there for the Braves. He's thrown out at second base because Tomas Nido has an absolute cannon. Doing his best McCann impression. They both have great arms from behind the plate. On his knees, drills him out there at second, trying to steal second base. Swanson strikes out. Olsen strikes out. A pair of strikeouts early for Seabass. We get to the second, folks. The man who was in my top 5 of Wardy's top 5 in postgame show yesterday. Granted, it was because the Mets offense was anemic. However, Eduardo Escobar, talk about Esco bombs for Fogo. The man, the myth. I shouldn't say the legend, but I'm going to say it because he hit a bomb just momentarily here. Huge home run, no doubt there to the chop house in right field. That gives the Mets an early 1-0 lead that we see here, and it surely wouldn't be the last home run that the Mets would find themselves scoring today. We advance forward to the third. Tomas Nido gets walked. When you know Nido's getting walked for a leadoff batter, you're liking your chances of something potentially happening there. Brandon Nimmo gets himself a nice base knock. 2 on, less than 2 out. Francisco Lindor, who had the lone RBI for the Mets today, an RBI triple yesterday, I should say. Today, he comes out and he steps up to the plate with a no doubt piss missile, 3-run dick shot. That opens the doors. He opens the floodgates. That gives the Mets a strong early 4-0 lead on these Braves. How you doing, Atlanta? Sound like you could hear a pin drop in there. And surely, even with the runs that the Braves would score, I was never concerned in this one. I really wasn't. Shout out to the pitching. Shout out to the bullpen as well. Again, wasn't the prettiest, but they kept, with the Mets having a healthy lead, thankfully it didn't hurt them too much. We advance to the bottom of the third. Acuna gets a walk in. This time does beat Nito and steals second base. Acuna has like around 20 stolen bags already this year when he hasn't even played a full first half. He's nuts. So crazy with his speed. Swanson strikes out, however, to end the inning. Dansby Swanson went for an abysmal 0 for 9 or 0 for 10 this series. So the debate between who's the best shortstop in the NL East, we're basing things on comparison right now. I'm taking Francisco inning every day of the week, the man who stepped up to the plate in the biggest series so far this year. Not that schmucking Swanson who's been looking fantastic, don't get me wrong, as of late for the Braves. He did not show up one bit this series. Francisco Lindor getting the big bucks. He's showing up when the Mets need him too. And without McNeil, without Marte, it's that pivotal that you have. Lindor, Alonso, your top two guys at the top of this lineup to produce runs. If you don't get them going, you got nothing going in this series, even if the depth works out. So Lindor, shout out to you, my man. I cannot say enough good things about how well he provided the Mets with offense and overall defense that we saw a great throw later in this one here in this game 3 and throughout the entirety of the series. You just love to see that from Mr. Francisco. I do see some donations. I'll be addressing them further a little bit, guys, so stay tuned for that. But we advance forward. In the 4th, the Mets, they get Travis Jankowski with a walk. Tomas Nido with a single. However, they would not provide any runs there in the 4th. Not a big deal, however. We then advance a little bit forward beyond that, folks. The bottom of the 4th. William Contreras, who I was blown away. This guy thinks he has the audacity, the absolute balls, the cojones on this man to come out and play Narco, which is Edwin Diaz's walkout song. I don't know who this man thinks he is. He might be an all-star this year, but still, regardless, Edwin, he's the only man that should be having that song. Drove me nuts. Regardless, Contreras reaches on a fielder's choice. Rosario with a double. I gotta say, Eddie Rosario, he was the biggest problem for the Mets today. The man had 2 doubles and a home run. He was nasty at the plate. Thankfully, he didn't hurt the Mets too much in this series, however, let alone today's game. Rosario with a double. You're in a jam, which is Seabass there in the 4th, but he gets out of it with Francisco Lindor getting a massive, huge throw deep in the hole there in short to first to Alonso. When that ends the inning, Bassett's pumped up. Lindor's pumped up. You love to see that, folks. Then we get to the 6th. This is where the Mets start to tack on a little bit more. Charlie Morton thinks he's going to get away with a hanging slider right down the dick. No, Marcana contacts that bad boy, gets that hanger, pulls that one to left, and that gives the Mets a 5-0 lead at that point, folks. Huge bomb by Marcana. Not known from the home run power, but he showed out today, as did we saw with many other Mets. Really proud of Canna. He had a strong series, in my opinion. I liked him in Game 1. Game 2 yesterday, nothing crazy, but Game 3, I love the fact that Buck knows that you got to keep Canna in the lineup, especially when you have no Marte or no McNeil. Because normally, if you guys don't know, Canna usually is only playing every 2 of 3 days, every 2 or 3 games of a series, rather. Canna was an X factor today. You love to see that. Even with him having 3 strikeouts, I'm not complaining. Canna isn't known for being a strikeout guy, nor will he ever be, in my opinion. We get Canna there, and then Dom Smith gets a walk, and then Charlie Morton would exit the game. Mets wouldn't do anything more in the 6th. However, we get to the bottom of the 6th, folks, and this is where Seabass has a little bit of a hater of a changeup, and of course, Matt Olson takes him deep dead center, just gets out of the park to give the Braves their first run of the day, their first of 3. However, Bassett bounced back nicely and gets out of the inning unscathed after that one. We get to the 7th inning. Brendan Nimmo with a single. And then an error there by Matt Olson gets Lindor on. Matt Olson had 2 really rough plays at first base. For a guy that's been known for the glove at times, he surely was not that. Was solely a big swing or miss guy in this series. No doubt about it. All Olson did this entire series was hit 2 home runs. That was it again. That's still impressive, don't get me wrong. But the defense didn't impress me, and by no means is he a contact guy right now. So you got 2 on, less than 2. Luis Gourmet, what has Gourmet done so well this year? Batting cleanup today. I Bleav if not for the first time this season, then definitely close. He was in the 5-hole yesterday. Batting cleanup today. He gets himself a beautiful opposite field down the third baseline RBI double. That increases the Mets lead 6-1 at that point, folks. And then to make the matter even worse, even after Charlie Morton exited the game, Jesse Chavez, the 38-year-old right-hand vet who originally started the year with the Cubs after winning the World Series last year with the Braves, was traded back to the Braves early on this year. He's been solid for them since then. He balks. He somehow, some way balks, and that drives in another run for the Mets. Gives them a 7-1 lead, folks. You'll love to see that. Jesse Chavez is shaking his head. He's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened. I don't know how you did that, Jesse. You're roughly 40 years old. You've been a vet in the game so long. I'm just as surprised and flabbergasted as you are that you allowed that balk to transpire. No less, the Mets with a 6-run lead entering there the bottom of the 7th. And Drew Smith comes in, and Drew Flo, who I was unbelievably impressed by. Yes, we'll get to the home run he gave up, but Drew Flo strikes out 3 that we saw there in the 7th inning, coming in for Seabass after his day was done. Drew Smith, who has struggled, who has been inconsistent as of late, definitely came out to play today. I was really happy with Drew Smith. As we get there to the 8th, however, Riley takes him deep on a solo bomb dead center. Austin Riley, probably one of the biggest all-star snubs this year. Contreras does not deserve that over Riley any day of the week from the Braves, but that's a different discussion for another day. However, Riley, even though he takes him deep, Riley's one of the best sluggers in the NL and all of baseball. I'm not surprised. And look, Drew Smith, who struggled with the home run ball, he still managed to get a couple more strikeouts that inning to get out of that. So in total, that's why he's in my top 5, guys. When Drew Flo goes too strong, eats those innings from the bullpen today, in the rubber match no less, for Seabass to help secure the victory, gives up 1 bomb, 5 strikeouts. I'm taking that to the bank. I thought this was a positive outing that we saw from Drew Smith today. I personally was not under the impression that was a negative because he gave up that home run to Riley. Yes, he struggled with the home run ball, but let's not forget that Austin Riley quite literally is one of the most dangerous hitters the Mets will ever face here in the NL, especially the NL East, along with the likes of Kyle Schwarber and other big boppers. We get to the 9th, however, Tommy Hunter comes in, and Eddie Rosario, who already had 2 extra base hits on the day, gets his 3rd one, this time a no doubt home run. That makes it, at that point, a 7-3 ball game, but Tommy Hunter escapes it after that one. He gets it in the non-save situation to end this one for the Mets, secures a victory. 7-3 is your final, guys. Again, I'm feeling electric. This is a Mets team, a Mets game, after not having any offense whatsoever, looking anemic yesterday. Couldn't hit a lick against this bullpen, especially in the Braves. They're able to tack on a couple runs thanks to some errors and just poor pitching that we saw there from Jesse Chavez with his approach on the mound. They took advantage of the opportunities given to them. And just like that, this Mets team wins 2 of 3. As I emphasize heading into this series, folks, the biggest series of their season thus far, and it isn't even close. Any and every series that the Mets have against the Braves from now until the end of the year will more than likely be the most pivotal matchups they have for the entire 2022 season. Like I said, the next time these 2 teams match up, they play 5 games against each other in one set. Like, are you joking? 5 effing games? That's going to be nuts. That can easily dictate who's leading the division by that point. Should the Mets not get up to a substantial lead? I hope they do. They got 4 games against the Cubs. No excuses. At minimum, I need the Mets to win 3 or 4 starting tomorrow. Then they have, of course, Marcus Stroman, Taijuan Walker on Friday. That's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to doing post-game coverage for that one. But everybody, I want to know your thoughts in the comments here about how you're feeling about this game. Like I said, I see the donations. I will get to them soon. Thank you guys so much for that. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on if you guys have been enjoying today's post-game show. Again, Mets win a massive 1-7-3. And as we look at Wardy's top 5, folks, Francisco Lindor, 1 for 5 with the piss missile, the 3-run, no doubt piss missile, as a matter of fact. 2 runs scored. Lindor on the series, folks. Let's take a moment to appreciate Francisco. Look at these numbers. Lindor went 5 for 14 with a triple, a home run, and 4 RBIs in the Mets' huge series win against the Braves. That's important. I need the Mets guys to step up. Once more, when you do not have 2 of your best hitters in the lineup still in McNeil and Marte respectively, you get them back for the Cubs series. That's awesome. But until then, the Mets literally won 2 of 3 against the Braves without 2 of their deadliest hitters in this lineup still. If that isn't impressive, if that isn't chef's kiss for you, I don't know what is. And for all the times that we critique this Mets team, regardless of the fact that they're over 20 games above 500, today is not the day. This team, they have things going right now. This is massive. Just win at minimum 3 of 4, like I said, against those Cubs. And I'm feeling very, very good, very confident about this Mets team entering this year's All-Star break and draft break. But guys, huge stuff there from Lindor. Then you get to the number 2 star. And let's talk about the man who, again, had one of his better starts of the season, Seabass, who, again, had some hangers. He was throwing some hangers, but thankfully, Braves are so swing and miss, they couldn't barrel much. They got 5 hits in 6 innings, got that 1 bomb from Olsen. Who cares? I'm sure Seabass is happy with today's performance. You look at his 6-pitch mix. It starts with the sinker. 30% of his pitch mix was with the sinker today, folks. Topped out 94, minimum 90, average 93. The slider, 22% of his arsenal tonight, folks, that being and Seabass. 85 is where he topped out. 74 was the minimum, and the average was 79. His slider is easily my favorite pitch that he has in his arsenal. It can be that hard slider or it can be that soft slider. Really can have a different impact on those hitters, and he made them look silly. Curveball, 14% of the arsenal today for Seabass. Tops out 72. Minimum 69.5. Nice. 70 will round it. And then the average 71. Changeup, 13% of the arsenal today for Seabass. 91 where he topped out. 81 was the minimum. 84 the average. Four-seam fastball, and this is what I was so impressed with Chris Bassett today. Even when he was throwing some hangers, that went in hand because he was throwing a lot of off-speed pitches and knew not to throw his fastball that at times doesn't have enough life against a Braves team that has the highest OPS in baseball against fastballs. It was important. The Braves entering today's game had an OPS of around 860 when facing heaters. That's a really good number. But against any other pitch, they're around 630 OPS, which is ranked 14th in the NL versus first in the NL with the fastball. He has that 6-pitch mix and he utilized it beautifully today. Seabass, 12% of his arsenal was the heater, topped out at 94, minimum 92, average 93, and the cutter, last but not least, 8% of his mix. 91 topped out, 86 the minimum, and 89 was the average with the velo. Loved it again from Seabass, absolutely. Number 3 star, I got to go with Eddie Escobar. He had a solid series, guys. Looked rough yesterday for sure, but Escobar got himself a nice hit there that we saw. A beautiful solo bomb. Hopefully this helps build Escobar's confidence to not just ball out, but a ball out here against a Braves team that has been the hottest team in baseball, not named the Houston Astros for the past month plus. No less Escobar, love to see that from him. Marcana, same thing goes with him as well. Been a little inconsistent as of late. Marcana, not the 300 average hitter, nor did I expect him to be 300 all year long. No less, while he did strike out today, he did get that big solo bomb thanks to that slider that was hung right down the pipe there to him from Charlie Morton. And that gives the Mets, again, at that point, it was, if I'm not mistaken, a 6-1 lead, or it was a 5-1, one of the two. Then Drew Smith, I got to go with my number. You can even argue Luis Gourmet. Gourmet again went 1 for 4, but had a nice RBI double. But for me, I got to go with Drew Flo because he saved the bullpen today. I thought that was so important for this Mets team to get a guy to eat a couple innings and to do it without giving up more than, say, a run. And that's exactly what Drew Smith was able to do for the Mets. So shout out to Drew Flo. Shout out to the Mets. And again, if you look at the Mets' overall offense today, folks, they had 8 hits to the Braves' 8. The difference, though, Mets had 7 runs on 8 hits. The Braves had a measly 3 runs on 8 hits. Expected batting average actually favored the Braves today, 249 to the Mets, 239. So the Braves got a little unlucky today. There's no denying that. There were some balls that fell short on the warning track. However, when you're a boom or bust team, that tends to happen, and that was the case once more for a Braves club. So as we look forward, guys, at the Mets and what they were able to accomplish in this series, pitching-wise too, Max Scherzer, David Pearson, and Chris Bassett, when looking at starters specifically, held Atlanta to 4 runs in 18 1/3 innings in this and 1/3 innings this series. That is a sub-2 ERA. You love that. The Mets bullpen had over 4 ERA in the series. But what did the Braves starters have? A roughly 5 ERA. We faced Max Fried, Spencer Strider, and Charlie Morton, the 3 hottest pitchers in this rotation for the Braves right now especially. And neither of these 3 starters goes past 5 innings against these Mets. That's a huge accomplishment, regardless of the fact that we saw today that the Braves, that we saw entering the series, rather, the Braves have the best bullpen in baseball per Fangraphs. The Mets were able to jump on the bullpen a little bit today and, again, got this massive W. So I got more to say, guys. I'm going to be addressing in a minute. But until then, I want to thank everyone so much that's been chiming in this Mets postgame show. A big one. When looking at the Mets' overall offense today, outside of what we discussed, there were some other key guys. Brandon Nimmo went 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored today. Had a solid day at the plate. Pete Alonso looked brutal. Had 3 strikeouts, 1 for 5. But Pete, the overall series, Pete was swinging and missing a lot. Really pressing. I hope that for Pete's sake that he can really choke up on his swing a bit and get away from that slider down away and that, that slider down in against lefties. I need Alonso to be a little bit more locked in than what we've seen. No less, Alonso was a factor in the Mets' Game 1 victory, so I'm not going to harp on him too much here. Just I would like to see him be a little bit more composed and more choking up on the plate there. Yorme 1 for 4 with the RBI double, as we mentioned. Then you have Dominick Smith 1 0 for 3 with a walk. Nothing great, but I don't expect too much from Dom usually. Jankowski over 3, but had a walk. Jankowski made up for it with his defense. Jankowski cut off some really scorching balls that were going deep there to right field that could have easily been hits. But Jankowski with an elite glove, elite speed, he held the Mets out plenty. And Tomas Nido went 1 for 3 today with a run scored. So we take that from Tomas and a walk. Going to take that to the bank every day of the week. Drew Flo, we talked about Tommy Hunter gave up that 1 bomb, but otherwise had 2 strikeouts in that for a non-safe situation that we saw in the 9th. But guys, I want to answer your donations. I want to get your comments, questions, and concerns. I'm not sure if we're going to take callers today, folks, just because I am tight on time. We will see, because I have to record my podcast right after this one. That'll be coming out early tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. However, let's get those comments now. So for people in the live stream, all you guys stay here. We're going to get to all your thoughts right now. But for people on replay, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How you feel after a strong victory for the New York Mets today, winning by a total of 7-3, winning the series 2 games out of 3 in Atlanta. Hot Braves, no problem. Whit Marte and McNeil out, no problem either. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was from not just today's game, but this series overall. And again, folks, thank you guys so much for watching. People in the live show, let's get those comments now. But people on replay, this is where we're cutting things off.